Hello everyone, and welcome back to more The Fruit of Grisaia. In the last episode, the meeting was adjourned, and they basically decided to kind of stay out of our way, out of our relationship. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long because they all tried to kind of butt in and stuff and try to make me try to fall for them. But we haven't seen everybody try it yet. Let's continue. July 14th. Good. You really gobbled that down. Did you even chew before you saw it?
つーかマキナ、あんたまだ残ってるじゃないのよ。もうお腹いっぱいなのよさ。見ろ、このお腹を。うわ、ぽっこり。だろ？これ以上食べたらタヌキフェチにモテモテになっちゃうのよさ。もう仕方がないな。ユウジが完食させるからだろ。
Why is it my fault? Don't play that card. My bad. I will do it again.
まあいいわよ。マキナ、あんたはお風呂入ってきなさい。うっしゃ、パパ一緒に入ろう。
No, no, no.
あんた、女湯にユウジを連れ込む気？食器片付けるの終わったら後で私が洗ってあげるから、あんたは先に行ってなさい。アヒル以外のおもちゃ持ち込んじゃダメよ。
She is like her mom, isn't she?
まったくよ、こんなに残してもったいない。
With a single remorseful sigh, Amane begins to tidy up the tableware in a vaguely motherly manner. Every few seconds, she absentmindedly grabs a little of Makina's leftover food and tosses it into her mouth. And now I get it.
何が？
I get everything. That oversized body of yours. Makina's leftovers are clearly to blame.
あれ？私食べてた？
Yeah, you were. Completely unconscious. No wonder you ended up that way.
いや、私ってさ、食べ物を残すのってどうしても許せなくて。
Nothing to be ashamed of, but given that you sure let Makina off the hook awfully easy today, what's up? Normally, Amane'd force the girl to finish her food, even if it meant enduring hours of begging and whining. For some reason, every last one of you people seems to have gone soft on Makina today. Did something happen while we weren't around? Please tell me the truth.
不器用な子が多いからな。何かあったってわけじゃないんだけど、まあ、あったのかな。
I see, I see.
あんたとマキナがそういう関係になったってことで、今日の放課後に賛成か否かってみんなで話し合ったのよ。
So that's why y'all vanished so abruptly.
まあね。で、話し合いの結果はおおむね賛成ってことで、
That more or less part bothered me just a little, but everyone approved?
こういうことに慣れてない子たちばっかりだからね。どう対処していいのかわからないってのが正直なところなんじゃないかな。とりあえず邪魔してやろうって考えているような子はいないよ。
No kidding. Well, that's something to be grateful for.
ユウジはさ、マキナのために頑張るって決めたんでしょ。だったら誰も邪魔なんかしないよ。
I see.
男が一旦こうと決めたなら簡単に投げ出すんじゃないぞ。わかった？
I'll bear that in mind. With that, the conversation ceases, and I simply watch Amane from behind as she quietly cleans the dishes. From far away, there's the piercing sound of a siren. Instantly, beads of cold sweat form on my brow. With an odd sense of detachment, I find myself reflecting on my newfound devotion to something other than the national interest. A dog raised for his country trying to accomplish something of its own free will? Hard to imagine that can amount to anything much. But I suppose it has to be more meaningful than getting some cheap metal pinned on your collar. For some reason, the burning wave of nausea seems to recede a little more easily than usual. Huh. July 15th. In all things, the fundamentals are what matter most, followed closely by experience, or so my master used to say. When the shit really hits the fan and you're lying face down in the mud about ready to just give up, your fundamental physical strength and the mental toughness you've gained on the battlefield are what allow you to pull yourself up against and keep struggling forward. I guess her way of thinking must have rubbed off on me at some point. Used to absolutely hate that brutal exercise routine she imposed on me, but now I feel downright uneasy if I miss even a day. What do you want? Hearing a vaguely dopey cry of distress from behind, I slow to a halt and look back down the road. Sachi's jogging sluggishly towards me with one arm around Makina's shoulder, practically dragging the girl along. In between gasps of breath, the maid more slowly mumbles, although we're 3 laps behind. Meanwhile, Makina collapses to her hands and knees, whimpering pitifully. Oh, I love the voice acting in this game. Something to behold, it really is. Clutching her twitching stomach and moaning like an out-of-tune trombone, Makina stares up at me with eyes full of bitter reproach. But she's the one who declared a war on blubber and demanded to tag along with my running from now on. Don't see how she has anyone but herself to blame. Was it? As someone who's run a full 16 kilometers every single morning, 5 seemed like a pretty generous concession on my part. Hell, the routine was even tougher back in my old school. We'd all get drummed out of bed at 6 in the morning and gather in front of the dorm for roll call, followed by a sprint to the warehouse to receive a 3.5 kilogram weight, which we would proceed to lug around for the duration of a mandatory 16-kilometer run. And when eager to ditch our aggravating burdens, we finally caught sight of the exercise ground designed as our goal, the relief would often only last for a moment. When the squad leader was in a bad mood, he'd instantly bellow out, "Right face," to send us running back to the dorm, still carrying the damn weights. More often than not, there'd be another right face waiting for us when we got there. On top of all that, every time he randomly blew his shrill little whistle, we were expected to break into an all-out sprint, so it was near impossible to pace ourselves. On the other hand, I guess that's not really a reasonable standard of comparison. Oh, it's nothing, you're right. Let's focus on getting you two able to run a single decent lap around the school. It's only 3.2 kilometers or so.
ですね。まずはそれぐらいを目指しましょう。あまねみたいなパーフェクトボディを目指して頑張るのよさ。
Well, I'd have a hard time calling him money perfect in terms of body fat percentage, but whatever. For starters, how about wearing some vaguely appropriate clothing? You could have at least thrown on sneakers and a sweatshirt or something.
だってパパは軽く走るって言ったのよさ。
Fair enough. Even so, casual clothes and boots aren't exactly exercise gear, on top of which you haven't shined those boots lately, have you? I should be able to see my face in those things. If this was my old school, you'd be doing 200 push-ups right about now.
ああ、それはボロい方がかっこいいってあまねさんが言ってましたので、わざと磨いていないんですよ。
Not that you're any better, still in a maid uniform as always.
はい、これは運動用のメイド服です。速乾性に優れた特許技術。
ウルトラドライマックス素材でできていて、気化熱の作用によって体温の上昇を素早く緩和してくれるのです。
You just made that up, didn't you?
コンセプトは裸より涼しいだそうです。
That's a load of crap. Tell me something, Sachi. Just how many maid outfits do you own?
そうですね。通常用のインターメディエイト、運動用のアクティブ、夏季略装のトロピカル、冬季寒冷地仕様のヘビー、
Okay, that's enough.
ボート鎮圧用のアサルト、医療従事用の白いメイド服のメディック、冠婚葬祭および慰霊式典参加用のコンサバティブの計7種類
Jesus
がある。
Christ. Wait, what's that? Counterinsurgency?
はい、何でも強化アラミド繊維で縫製されているそうで、試したことはありませんが、9ミリ程度の銃弾なら苦もなく受け止める上に、かねてより弱点として指摘されていた鋭利な刃物による刺突にも対応した新素材を採用したそうですよ。
What kind of a battle maid would need a uniform like that? I mean, where did you even buy that?
それは私が特注で作らせたのよさ。
Why?
いえ、最初はネット通販でメイド服を買おうとしてたんですけれど、1万円で売られているものもあれば18万円もするものもあって、
200,000, yeah.
お値段がピンキリでして。
でね、どれ買えばいいかわかんねえっつうから、迷った時はいっちゃんいいの買っときゃいいんじゃねえ
Boy,
っ
to
て
have
こ
the
と
mind
で
to be able to
ね。
go by that philosophy.
最初はユミちゃんちの出入り業者に頼んだんだけど、なんつうの？
榊さんの家の家政婦さんはメイド服ではなくて喫茶店のウェイトレスさんの服のようなものを採用されていまして、業者の方もメイド服は作ったことがないとおっしゃられまして。
で、仕方ないから私の家の知り合いのアパレル業者にオーダーで一式作ってもらったのよさ。
ところがその発注した業者というのがフライトジャケットや腕時計なんかを作って軍に納入している業者でして。
So all of a sudden, you ended up with a bunch of mil-spec made uniforms, huh?
そういうことなのよさ。アサルト装備にはバイオテロにも対応可能なガスマスクもセットになってて、とってもお得なのよ。
And when's she gonna use that exactly?
コンタミネーションレベル8以上の大気汚染度の高いおトイレなどを掃除するときに大活躍します。
Gas mask, huh? I remember getting drilled on putting those things on quickly back at my old school. Guess it was back in middle school when they started that. I remember clumsily pulling on M40 over my face, then being forced to run a marathon with it on. Pretty rough, even by their standards. Even after returning to Japan, I tried numerous times with the Model 4 protective mask. Usually this involved rushing into a tin full of insecticide fumes the instructor would bell "Situation gas!" as we fumbled to get the mask out of our waist pouches and onto our faces in 8 seconds or less. Not the most exciting training, but simple skills like that can easily make a difference between life and death in the field. After ejecting the gas inside the mask and confirming an airtight seal, we'd pair off with our buddy and make sure theirs was sealed on properly. At this point, it's kind of a fond memory.
甚だ失礼かとは存じますが、一つ立ち入った質問をしてもよろしいでしょうか。
No, you may not. What do you want to know?
風見さんが以前在籍していらした学校とは一体どのような学校なのでしょうか。
I always knew this time would come, where I'd have to spill my secrets. I couldn't hide forever, nor did I want to. But today is not the day for you to know these information secrets.
あ、それは私も前々から気になってたのよさ。
Did you not just hear me? Today is not the day. What kind of place was it? That's kind of a tricky question in all honesty, but let's see. I put a hand on my chin and considered the matter, turning my eyes away from Sachi's curious gaze. I was what they call a self-supporting student. I was already working at a middle school age, but Since I was still in the compulsory education period, my employer was kind enough to send me to school at night. That employer I mentioned was an international enterprise with its headquarters in the States, so naturally the school they paid for me to attend was American as well. I spent the first half of junior high in San Diego, California. Then for the latter half I was moved to Quantico, Virginia. When they finally decided to ship me back to the Japanese branch, I ended up getting transferred to yet another school over here. Hell of a transition, actually. Nothing at all like how things were in America. Less of a pain in the ass, and that people weren't inviting me to barbecues every weekend, but you could really see the difference in how seriously the students approached it.
具体的にはどのように違ったのでしょうか？
Well, that's not easy to explain, but maybe this will give you a general idea. In America, the whole point was training us to be useful in the field, where Japan was all about training us to pass the tests. Basically, in Japan, the inspections were the only thing anybody cared about.
検閲
There's something like a test. If it wasn't on the test, they really didn't give a damn. They'd give us a little hands-on experience, but rarely bothered to explain what we were supposed to be learning. And worse, they taught us outright nonsense. About the only thing America and Japan had in common were the crew cuts and the shitty food.
それは何と言いますか、お勤めご苦労様です。
Well, it's not like I was actually in the service or anything.
でも普通の学校じゃないよね。
I'm feeling a little unsure about our point of reference in that area for a while now. Mind if I ask you two something as well?
どうぞ。
Is this Mahame Academy of ours a normal school? Is it a normal school? Well, it's obviously abnormal. We know this. This is not a normal facility by any stretch of the imagination. But, are they gonna reveal what Mihama Academy actually is? It's a front for something. We know it's a front for something. But what is it a front for? Hopefully we'll find out in the next episode of The Fruit of Grisaia. Take it easy, everybody.